So, believe it or not, this entire intro was created from a single still picture. Well, I guess not the not the video of Derek. That doesn't count. But that's clip number 2. So, this clip number 1 here was fully created from this picture of the Arnold statue outside of the convention center in Columbus. So I took this picture and I knew I wanted to at least cut it out and make it drop, but then I had the idea to do the warper tool to make his arms move and then match cut to Derek. So I'm going to show you how I did it, the sound design behind it, the filters on top to make it look pretty. This is going to be a very raw video and just kind of how my brain works through all of this. Just because it's what I do doesn't make it the right way, because I think I do stuff very unorthodox whenever it comes to editing, but I mean, I make it work. So first things first, you can see here, this bottom clip is actually the wall with no background. And obviously I couldn't take a picture of the wall with no statue there. So this is using Canva. I believe I used Canva. Photoshop does better, but I knew it wouldn't really matter since I was going to have movement and I had Canva easily accessible. So I just magic grabbed the statue in Canva. So, oh, sorry, this one has movement to it already. But yeah, you can see magic grab the statue and then background no statue. So that's your first 2 layers. And that is important because I knew I wanted to make the statue drop from the sky. And in order to do that, I mean, it's as simple as making the beginning of the drop of the statue high Y, so it's way up here in the Y axis. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's about 12 frames later, like a half second later, it drops down to 0, so it's back where it originally started. And along with that, so if I just had it dropping without any camera movement, it would look like that. Looks a little fake, right? It still has right here, it has the zoom blur and a camera shake just to give it a little like motion so people think it's a video and somebody's standing there videoing why this giant statue drops from the sky, even though it is just a picture. And also, I use zoom blur instead of directional blur just because I think zoom blur looks better. I know it doesn't make complete sense having zoom blur on the outside instead of directional blur, but I like the look of it better. It's what I do. Again, doesn't make it right. It's just what I do. So I then add the adjustment clip to add camera movement to drop with the statue. So the camera movement, so the adjustment clip, in order to be able to zoom way up to the top, because again, it is just a picture, I could have magic expanded it in Canva to make a bigger picture, but instead I just zoomed in and started at 4, because if I was at 1, you would see it's all black here because the picture isn't big enough because I'm zooming way up on the y-axis. Obviously, I'm going to find the top of the picture. So to compensate for that, I made it zoomed into 4. And then as it drops, you can see I zoom out with this adjustment clip out to 2. And that's at that same half second, 12 frames. And along with that zoom, I also add even more camera shake to this adjustment clip because I want camera shake to be all throughout this beginning clip. So this has technically double camera shake and camera shake here. But then this adds the zoom because once it's done dropping, I have no reason for the zoom blur because I want it to be in focus. But whenever the statue hits the ground, I added even more camera shake and zoom blur. And I believe I turned up. Actually, no, I didn't. I didn't turn up that camera shake at all. It's just regular camera shake. The camera shake throughout the entire clip, I bumped down to 0.5 when it's normally at 1, just to make it a little less camera shake. But whenever it hits the ground, I added a third camera shake technically because I want it to shake. I mean, if a giant statue drops from the sky and hits the ground, it's almost like the Hulk jumping. Whenever it hits the ground, if you watch the Marvel movies, whenever he lands on the ground, the camera shakes. Even though, I mean, technically if you're this far away, you might not. It's just, it plays into it. It's a VFX thing. So drops down, bang, camera shake. And now we know we're at 2 zoom. And I knew I was going to want to zoom in to be able to see the arms moving. So stays, and then whenever it zooms in, I add a second layer, and this layer again with the zoom blur because I'm zooming in. It makes sense. So right here, you're at the 2, and then it zooms in to a 3. So that's what I hit, and then you just play with your y-axis and your x-axis to keep the statue perfectly in frame. Now this clip and this clip are the ones that I used, and these are just the cutout of the statue. These are what I used for the movement. So that's why I kind of split this up the way I did. I technically didn't have to. I could have just keyframed it, but just it made sense for my brain just to split. Here's where it drops. Here's where it's just sitting still, the statue. And then here is where I add the warper tool. So you go into your Fusion page, add the warper tool. It looks weird right now, but whenever you zoom in, you can see what it looks like. I think you can actually control the size of the circles, but I'm not even going to mess with it. So let me bring this down. So yeah, add the warper tool. And I'm not going to actually do this because it takes a lot of tries, if I'm being honest. But you're going to go through and add all these points. I don't think I had to add as many as I did on his bottom half, but really it's wherever you put a point, think of that as a joint or as a pivot section. So knowing that I want his arms just to go out and back in, and I believe, let me see, did I move his head? Sorry, I made this edit a little while ago, but yeah, I even moved his head a little. Even the head, I ain't gonna lie, it doesn't look the best, but it's a little bit of movement. I would have preferred like his just chin moves down and pivots from right here. But again, it's like whenever you're moving these out, you're just going to set your keyframe at the beginning with no change. And then at the end, you can see where I moved it to, which is just you hold command and then highlight the points you want to highlight, and then you can move them and you see what it does. Or also, if you grab the edge, I almost have to get lucky to be able to do it. There it is. Grab the edge and lift up or down, and that's how you rotate. So I'm actually going to get rid of that key point. So you're dragging the arm out. You can't go too far because then it just looks too warped. I mean, you can't create more bicep or arm in here to stretch. You can only stretch what you have in the image because, I mean, it is a still picture that we're just warping. But you can pull out the forearms, and so really you're pivoting at these elbow joints. And as you pull out the forearms, you're going to want to twist the hands because, I mean, you could just literally, if you can't see me, but I'm doing it right now to myself. I'm like flexing my bicep, and you can see whenever you're in towards yourself, your hands curl down. Whenever you go out, your hands kind of open, curl out. So that's exactly what I did. And then the head, I have it slightly looking down and going back. But I mean, you can see if you really look at it, it's not the most realistic because, again, you're warping a still image. But for how fast-paced it is, I think it looks pretty dang good. And notice none of his lower half moves at all because I have all these control points holding it steady. So really, I feel like it's just the more points, the merrier. I mean, it's safer that way. And you're actually limited to how close you can put them to each other. There's probably a way to change that. But yeah, it's going to take multiple tries. You're going to mess up a bunch, but the end result looks awesome. So there's that. I mean, it's simple as can be. And then I just duplicated that clip because I knew I wanted his hands to go out. And then I wanted them to come back in. So I duplicated it and played this one. I just went to change clip speed and then reverse speed. So it's playing it in reverse. So then his hands come back in. So then, as you can tell in this adjustment right here, whenever we did the zoom in to when he was flexing, I zoomed into 3, and then I slightly zoom out for the rest of the clip all the way to 2.5. And whenever it's match cutting, I did, again, add an adjustment clip with zoom blur and camera shake to cut between the statue and Derek, and I just have to zoom in on Derek. This is 1.85 zoom, Y up 100 on the Y-axis, just to try to match this as best as possible. And I also added a speed ramp on Derek flexing, just because I thought that played into, where's the speed? Oh, it's on zoom. Let's go to reach time curve, I believe. Yeah, there's the speed. And you can see, just to make it a nice clean speed ramp to Derek flexing, and I think it matches up pretty good. So now this is what it looks like without the sound. And now with just the music, this is what you would hear. And actually, I'm going to show it to you what it would look like without these zooms and like basically the camera following effect. If it were just a statue dropping, the little flex, and then match cut. And now here's the difference whenever you add all the zoom blurs, the zoom effect. And now, possibly the most important part is the sound design. So first thing I add here is a cinematic riser building up for whenever the statue drops, and whenever the statue hits the ground, it's obviously metal, so makes sense. Let's add a metal cling noise. So here's the metal cling noise. It's basically like a bell ring. Then we are going to zoom in to the statue itself. So we have a whoosh sound effect for the zoom in. I mean, simple, makes sense. And now let's go ahead and unmute. This is actually one of my favorites. And these are actually the same clip as just the part of the metal creaking that I liked. So I duplicated it so it's kind of fading in and fading out. You can hear a metal creak sound effect for whenever he flexes. And then you have the cinematic riser leading up to the match cut with Derek. But yeah, so you have cinematic riser build up to the drop with the metal cling ding noise, and then whoosh followed by metal creaking and a riser to the match cut. And that's just the intro. There's honestly, I'll probably make some more videos on the rest of this edit. You can't see here because I deleted it to avoid me messing anything up. But that's your final product. Final product for an intro. I hope this made sense. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you want the sound design or like the sound effects I have here, comment below and I will share those with you. But yeah, I hope this gets the creative juices flowing. You can use this in all different styles of edits. I used to use this to edit DJ graphics. I would make 3D DJ graphics, and a lot of times I would make their hands moving because they're at the DJ booth and their hand would be in the air, and I would just have a picture and I would make the hand kind of move back and forth. But yeah, if you use this warper tool to make an edit, please tag me in it. I'd love to check it out. And yeah, I think that's it. Peace.